In the innovation economy, more enterprises are electing to use outside executive IT staffing firms, simply because it has become an impossible task to be active in the necessary networks or maintain the internal research resources. In fact, in some cases lack the evaluative skills to properly recruit for themselves. Greetings, everyone, and welcome from the Technology Association of Georgia. It's Tuesday, March 8th, 2016, and this is Tech Talk. I'm your host, Frank Baia. IT staffing outsourcing comes with the challenge of just how to identify and select the right firm of professionals, the one that has a wide range of personal contacts in your industry, has specific knowledge of an area, and typically operates at the most senior level of executive positions with the most impactful network of potential candidates. Up to the Tech Talk, IT staffing in Atlanta, and the landscape of job opportunities versus effective and efficient staffing deliverables in today's highly competitive IT marketplace. The Tech Talk turns to industry expert Ira Martin, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Atlanta Partners. Ira is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the company, overseeing the company's executive search division and the launch of Atlantic Partners Mergers and Acquisitions Department. Chief Operating Officer, Executive Recruiter, Corporate Trainer, Sales Trainer, and Acquisition Team Leader. He brings his leadership to a high-level scope of work that not only provides a unique and valuable inside perspective, but also as a thought leader in top industry executive important observations on the current situation of the IT staffing industry and marketplace in Atlanta today. When enterprise and corporate entities elect to use an outside executive and IT staffing firm, and what it takes to build and retain a management team dedicated to outsource IT staffing for his clients throughout the metro marketplace. We Tech Talk with Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Atlantic Partners Corporation, Ira Martin. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Ira, welcome back to Tech Talk.
Hey, it's good to be with you again, Frank.
Well, it's great to have you back. So much has been going on with you guys. It's pretty amazing. We talk a lot about, it's been about a year, I think, maybe not quite that long, but it's amazing the kind of growth that you guys have been having. And I guess the irony of it is that you gave us a vision for that growth. Well, now I think you can talk about the results and maybe even go into what made them happen. What can you attribute that to?
Well, sure. Thanks again for having me. We spoke, I believe, back in January of last year, and I guess the 30,000-foot answer would be that management made a concerted effort to focus on culture. And although a lot of companies, use as a cliche, I would say it's one of the major contributors to the $5 million of top-line revenue increase year over year from last year, and 50% of that on the bottom line.
Well, let's talk a little bit about culture and maybe go into something a little bit more granular because, like you say, it's kind of a hyperbole now. We hear a lot about everybody seems to have a culture. And one of the things that I think, you are, and not only a source of it for your own internal organization, but it's an outreach partly to the kind of people you hire and the kind of people that end up you place over an extended period of time. So talk a little bit about the culture and specifically how it's impacted the growth you're talking about.
Sure. If you remember from, the last interview, and I know you do a lot of interviews, like a lot of, agencies in the IT staff org world, we wanted one of the initiatives last year is we wanted to put college folks to work, and we did that. We created Atlantic Partners University, and I think that the effort in a conjunction of training and working in the trenches on very advanced requirements and the ongoing, commitment from management to invest in that, coupled with our tenured account executives who each picked a vertical of best practice. And the integration of those two components have not only created a fun culture, but a collaborative culture and even speaking for somebody that, has done a lot of reading and studying on culture, I'm here to say that it's just something that I don't think we realize really impacts and shows up on the bottom line.
Well, maybe go into why you approached it from that standpoint and maybe even some of the findings.
Okay. Well, what we did realize is that, retention does show up on the P&L, so we decided to, as I said, bring in, college graduates and train them, having a, director of recruiting who has 25 years experience and who's a subject matter expert in technology help. But I think, what we found is the combination, as discussed last time, of, a senior veteran account executive coupled with the younger tenured recruiter, be it let's say their technology skills, and just, the two, I guess, generations being intertwined, have proven to be very effective. But, specifically, and to get, more granular, our interview to hire ratio has went down to like a 4-to-1 ratio. The maturity, I think the confidence of, graduating at Atlantic Partners University, which is a earn and learn or learn and earn, initiative, the confidence that these younger tenure recruiters have amassed in a year it's amazing. So I would attribute it to just, a concerted effort and confidence that they have and the belief in themselves, and we certainly believe in them.
Well, in management they say proof of concept, the ability to really, even from the standpoint of some of the STEM initiatives and things that are happening in some of the IT job challenges of locating good personnel, they kind of always talk about the same thing over and over and over and over, and that is the challenge is finding really good, confident individuals that have that kind of confidence and project it out because they've done it before. Many of them haven't. So going through the training that you put them through and the experiences that you give them, that's almost like an internship that would happen at a college or even at from a grant or from some kind of scholarship. Talk a little bit, when you talk about the industry and thought leadership, and I think a lot of our listeners know by the reputation of not only the company but of you individually that you are one of the visionary thought leaders in the field. Can you talk a little bit about like-minded agency owners? Are there anything that are common areas that come up in the conversations that you have with them?
Well, the one thing I'd like to say about this business, as I discussed previously, I don't really come from this industry. I'm here now almost 3 years. I come out of the professional sports industry and the insurance industry. These agency owners are they're willing to talk. They're willing to talk about challenges. They're willing to talk about success and obstacles. But I'm just blown away in a good way by how open and transparent they are to talk about challenges. And whether there are agencies that are doing $5 million revenue or 50, I think it all comes down to the same thing. I think that they talk about finding good people, and on the sales side, it's very difficult to find good salespeople. And I know that seems a little generalistic, but in this business, if you have a book of business and you have people on billing, there's really no incentive for those people to want to leave. But I think all agency owners find it hard. I think they find it frustrating to bring on good talent, and on the recruiting side, I would say the same. So I think that's one of the main topics. The other is scalability. How do you scale your business? Because most agencies were started by salespeople, and then the business grew into an operation. So how do you scale? And the last thing that I think is common, and again, surprised people talk about it, is what is the current economic environment, and for the agencies that are a little bit more seasoned, what does exit strategy look like, if any at all?
Well, and how realistic is the sustainability as far as not collaborating, and especially, too, I think one of the things that I'm often, when we've spoken about it, you guys have constructed a pretty effective platform. And I guess really, when you're talking specifically about AP, can that be a solution to some of the smaller agencies you've referenced?
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, we're actually, in the acquisition mode. We're talking to agencies.
Oh, okay.
One of the things we find is that, if we are 5 salespeople and 6 or 7 recruiters, we're doing twice the amount of revenue as a firm, with that bandwidth. But definitely from a back office standpoint, our collection terms and pay terms are, incredible. They're 37 days, outstanding. You mentioned internship. We actually have an upward mobility plan where we bring people in an administrative, scope of work to start, and then they have upward mobility into a management, admin, or recruiting opportunity. So there's been, again, a concerted effort to develop that, but we are a solution and not even a proof of concept anymore, because we have 3 strategic partnerships where we actually act as the back office and the recruiting and fulfillment mechanism. And I think where there's a big, disparity in opinion is that a lot of people think it's all about the sales and getting job requirements, and other people think it's all about recruiting. And here, I think what we've come to realize is it's a balanced attack, and having the fulfillment center and having the ability to have a good, strong back office and have a company that doesn't have any debt it lends us to be a back office solution to a smaller agency, or even a sole proprietor who's a good salesperson that just doesn't have the time, or it makes no sense for them to spend the time doing the back office, which is a rigorous and arduous piece of this business.
Well, and I think in this case, when you talk about culture, it's not just a great place to work, or one of the big things you hear a tremendous amount is purpose fulfilling. Is it really satisfying my purpose in life? And obviously those are crucially important things that make them mean a lot to a culture. But also I think it has to do with relationships and efficiency and collaboration and performance. And I think that's kind of the culture you guys have really built, is one that in the long run, I've used it as an old cliche that entrepreneurs that taught me the business was, you got to either make me money or save me money. What are you here to talk about? And I think it's a case where you've got that kind of culture set up so that when you do go out and handle clients, you're answering those questions for them in a real way, not just with hyperbole, but with results. It's really exciting. Lots of good stuff. Ira, as it always is, it's going to be fun to watch you guys continue to grow and see what the future brings. And I know you're really snowed, so thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to join us for a couple of minutes today on Tech Talk.
Well, thanks for having us again. It's always a pleasure, Frank.